Nintendo Switch 2. Everything we know about a potential Switch successor. Leaks are picking up. Mario's getting a makeover, and it's imminent. The Nintendo Switch, which will celebrate its 8th birthday in March, is about to get a sequel, and based on the latest reports, the announcement could come this week. Signs point to January 15th or 16 as the date when news might break, according to a leaker with a successful track record. Nintendo Switch 2. Cut to the chase. What is it? The successor to the Nintendo Switch console. How much will it cost?
TBA.
When will it release? TBA, but an announcement has been confirmed for before the end of 2025.
What will its upgrades be?
TBA, but more powerful hardware with improvements to RAM, CPU power, and GPU speed is almost guaranteed. Based on recent leaks, we should expect redesigned controllers too. Nintendo has already confirmed it's releasing a whole new console, and it should go on sale before Nintendo's next Super Nintendo World theme park opens at Universal Studios Florida this May. The console's already been seemingly leaked in all sorts of ways lately, from chipsets down to entire mock-ups of the console itself. The countdown is underway, and based on the latest reports, Nintendo could reveal hardware now followed by a showcase of games sometime around February or March. If you already own a Switch or are thinking of buying one, here's what you need to know. Here's what we think we know based on reports and rumors. None of it is a huge surprise yet, but signs point to a big jump in gaming power. Just don't expect something on the order of a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X. You should expect a console that can finally play higher-end games at higher resolutions, and something that has improved controllers too. That's okay with me. Recent reactions online seem a little disappointed in the Switch 2 perhaps not being a hardware powerhouse, but keep in mind the relative landscape and Nintendo itself. Handheld game systems have to split differences in performance and power efficiency in ways that plugged-in megaconsoles don't. Consider Valve's Steam Deck as a template. It's also worth remembering that Nintendo likes to keep its hardware affordable. Plenty of Nintendo consoles made magic with older graphics chipsets. As far as my expectations for Switch hardware performance, I'd think it would feel as good as or slightly better than what the current Steam Deck can pull off. Is this what it looks like? At CES this year, peripheral maker Genki showed off what looked like an entire mock-up of the Switch 2, as everyone seems to agree it's called, down to magnetically removable Joy-Cons. The Switch 2 would be bigger than the existing Switches, but with a similar overall look. Show this system in public, and I'm not sure anyone would even know it was a Switch 2. It'll be backward compatible with the Switch. Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa confirmed the next Nintendo console, which doesn't yet have an official name, will be backward compatible with both Nintendo Switch games and Nintendo Switch Online. The brief post on X in early November made it perfectly clear that Switch games will play on whatever console comes next. Backward compatibility for Nintendo game consoles isn't new. Many TV-connected Nintendo consoles and handhelds could play games from the immediate last generation before it. The Wii U, Wii, Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo DS, and Game Boy Advance, for instance. It means you should be perfectly safe treating the next Nintendo console as a stand-in for Switch. It won't be surprising if it's called a Switch 2 or a Super Nintendo Switch, but Nintendo can be unpredictable. New games expected: Mario Kart, Mario, Xbox games, and more. Based on the most recent reports, the Switch 2 already has some big games lined up. Nintendo may make a new Mario Kart the star of the show. Mario Kart 8 is already almost 10 years old, and a new version would be a perfect way to celebrate the Switch's multiplayer advantages. Well-regarded leaker Nate the Hate detailed the reports on his YouTube channel. Nintendo's expected to announce a new 3D Mario game as well, arriving later this year. Super Mario Odyssey, the Switch's first new 3D Mario game, is already over 7 years old. Reports also point to Xbox games debuting on Switch, with a Halo compilation and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 being the first. Other games may include Final Fantasy VII Remake, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Assassin's Creed Mirage. Based on what we think Nintendo's graphics power on the Switch 2 will be, it's likely safe to assume a lot of previously unavailable Xbox and PlayStation games might finally be able to make the move sooner than later, including notable Switch no-show Madden. It should look similar to the Switch, with a few changes. Maybe glasses support. Reported renderings of Nintendo's next-gen console appeared on Reddit in September, as seen on a Chinese social media site. The images show a console that looks a whole lot like the current Switch, at least in general design. It's another widescreen handheld, with removable controllers at the sides that sport a familiar button layout. According to the report, the console will have an 8-inch screen, up from the 7-inch Switch OLED, and USB-C ports on both the top and bottom of the console this time. The handheld will dock just like the Switch, but that extra USB-C port suggests something else. Maybe accessories and, who knows, support for secondary displays like glasses. In December last year, an accessory maker showed off a hint of the Switch 2 design via pictures of a compatible case. The Switch 2, if this is what it looks like, seems extremely similar to the Switch, but it could be bigger than the Switch OLED, maybe approaching the size of the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck, laptops, and most phones already support video out modes that work with display glasses like those made by Zreal and others. It would be a great bonus to have this work on a new Nintendo Switch 2 and could even hint at Nintendo making some glasses-like accessory of its own. That's speculation on my part, but considering Nintendo had its own cardboard VR kit for the Switch and a remote-controlled AR race car, not impossible. Joy-Cons updates. Magnetic, but what else could that unlock? Reports have largely suggested that the Switch successor will have modular Joy-Con controllers like the Switch, but ones that are redesigned and connect with a new magnetic system. One report from game controller manufacturer Mobipad goes into detail on the magnetic system, as well as extra buttons on the controllers. Will that allow for new accessories as well? I'm curious how modular the next Switch successor could be. The current Switch doesn't have other accessories that slot into the side rails to replace the Joy-Cons, but might there be peripheral surprises with the next version? We'll see. Graphics should get a big boost to play more current-gen games. Reports going back to 2023 and earlier have pegged the next Switch as having revamped graphics capable of handling current-gen console games that the current Switch can't. Think of games like Death Stranding or Elden Ring or Madden NFL. The next Nintendo console should still be a combo console with handheld and TV docking modes, especially since that model is one the rest of the industry is slowly drifting toward, see the Steam Deck and a wave of PC gaming handhelds. How high-end will the TV docking graphics feel compared with the handheld mode? It's possible that TV docking could flex 4K gaming, but handheld modes could reduce frame rates and be limited to what's been reported to be a 1080p LCD screen. That makes sense. The Steam Deck, in comparison, still only has a 1:200x 800 pixel resolution display, and it looks just fine for most games. According to Digital Foundry and others, an NVIDIA T239 processor looks to be the likely chip inside the next console. This chipset's notable features include ray tracing and PlayStation 4 level or better graphics, along with the possibilities of faster load times, added AI capability, and the ability to upscale to 4K or downscale as needed for more efficient handheld gaming modes. More recent reports of what could show leaked internals of the Switch 2 motherboard suggest even more details: 12 GB of RAM, 256 GB of onboard storage, and an ability to auto-upscale games to higher 4K resolutions on a TV using AI. Price. Could it be $400? It wouldn't be any surprise if the new console were at least $400, since the many-year-old Switch debuted at $300. Inflation alone would merit a price uptick of nearly $90. Could it hit $500? Or could Nintendo sell different configs, similar to what Microsoft and Sony are already doing? Reports also suggest higher prices for the games themselves, possibly around $70 for big first-party games. And yet, the most recent reports seem to be suggesting prices no higher than $400 and possibly even less. Nintendo's Switch online subscription price could see an increase instead, based on one report from a purported retailer via Reddit. Maybe higher-priced games and subscriptions would be Nintendo's way of making up for the lower hardware cost. Will a Nintendo Switch 2 be backwards compatible? Yes, the Nintendo Switch 2 will be backwards compatible. This was officially confirmed by Nintendo in an X/Twitter post back in November 2024. Is the Nintendo Switch 2 coming soon? We now know that a successor to the Nintendo Switch will be officially unveiled within the fiscal year. Although this doesn't necessarily mean that the Nintendo Switch 2 is coming soon, it confirms that more concrete information will be on the way in the coming months. Could the Nintendo Switch 2 have VR support? While Nintendo has experimented with virtual reality, VR, functionality through Nintendo Labo, delivering a true VR in the vein of Sony's PSVR 2 would demand some pretty beefy hardware. It's not totally impossible, but it seems unlikely that Nintendo would be able to put out a handheld gaming system that also supports VR play. Could the Nintendo Switch 2 support 4K? While Sony and Microsoft continue to expand into the 4K market, there isn't really any big reason for Nintendo to follow suit. In an interview, Nintendo France general manager Philippe Laveau brushed off 4K, saying that the technology has not been adopted by the majority, and it would therefore be too early for Nintendo to jump on board. For the latest tech news and reviews, follow Simmyideas Tech Hub on X, Facebook, WhatsApp, Threads, and Google News. For the latest videos on gadgets and tech, subscribe to our YouTube channel.